the bucket and a foul. Breakaway. Io.
Oh, meet me at the rim and don't be late.
Give me the hot sauce. Did you not get the memo? Derek Rose can go upstairs.
Oh, he's got Giddey to steal. Right for the lead. Yeah!
Big time plays. Big time plays.
Giddey for the win. Go!
Oh, my God. I cannot believe this.
Improbable.
Hey, welcome in, everybody. The Chicago Bulls are one of the unbeaten teams in the NBA right now, and we're here to talk all about it in the latest edition of the Gimme the Hot Sauce podcast. Stacey King alongside our red-faced buddy Tim Kelley is somewhere in America. I don't know where he is. That's
Vermont.
2 weeks in a row. What's he doing in Vermont?
Trying to get some syrup. Trying to get some maple syrup in Vermont, man. That guy never ceases to amaze me.
Yeah, he was in Florida last week getting some sun. Now he's in search for maple syrup. So we'll get the reality of it when Timmy comes back. Hopefully he'll be back with us next week. But Stacey is now broadcasting for the hottest team in the NBA. They are ranking near the top of the NBA in defense. You know, they're still playing at a fast pace. You know, the offense hasn't been clicking as good as maybe they'd hoped, but defense is really carrying the day right now.
Well, I think the most important thing is the defense because eventually they will score. They're getting good shots, not making them, but they're getting good shots. But the defense is you got to be really happy with because they're getting after teams. They're forcing turnovers. They're taking charges. They're doing all the little things that, you know, you need to do to be a successful team to have a deep playoff run.
A lot of people were kind of surprised that the Bulls re-signed Trey Jones this summer, thinking, well, we're loaded at the guard position. Why are we bringing in another guard? He has been a revelation. I saw the stat during the broadcast where he and Michael Jordan are the only two guys that get 10 steals in the first 3 games.
Listen, I said this and people laughed at me. I said, had he not went out last year in that play-in game and got hurt during, towards the end of the season, both him and Io, the Bulls beat Miami and then get into as the AC and no telling what happens with a healthy roster. Those two guys made a huge difference, and they're making a huge difference now in these first 3 games. You know, this team, people laughed at me. The experts like, oh, the Bulls will be lucky if they win 30 games. And I kept saying this team, if you go by how they played last year, they're combined this year and last year 20 and I think 7 or something. They ended up 15-5 at the end of the season. They've won 3 games now. If you count preseason, that's another 3 games they've won. They have been playing some good basketball. And during that same from March to now, the best records, they're the 3rd best record since March. So you go with the Oklahoma City Thunder, who's like 21-3, and I think the LA Clippers were 2 at 19-5 or something, and the Bulls were 3rd.
Right, they're right in there.
They're right in there. So this is not a fluke. If they can stay healthy, I mean, you lose Kobe White and you lose, Zach Collins. Those are 2 key members of your team. Kobe's expected to lead the team in scoring, so you lose him, and you're not missing a beat with what these guys are doing right now. They beat arguably 3 playoff caliber teams.
Let's talk a little bit more about Trey Jones. I know yourself as a big man, that must have annoyed you when that little guy came in to dig the ball in the post when he comes in there to, the ball's passed inside, he comes in to double team and rips it away from you, and that's something he's really good at.
Well, he has a high basketball IQ. I mean, the kid understands the game, went to Duke. He knows how to play. He knows how to position himself. In the Orlando game, he got matched up with Banchero in the post. Banchero weighs about 260.
Yeah, that's a tough matchup. Yeah.
And he was in the post, and he was battling, and he circled the post at least 2 times and got 2 critical steals late in the game where Banchero was in scoring position in the heart of the lane. You don't see guards doing that kind of stuff. And, he's tough. He can go in there and finish. He plays bigger than he actually is. And he's not afraid to mix it up. And he takes pressure off Josh Giddey to have to bring the ball up every single time down the floor. He can handle the ball. He can attack with the pick and roll. He can attack from the wing. He's a do-it-all guard. I'm surprised teams slept on him. San Antonio had him, and they let him go because they got Chris Paul. And, teams saw how good he was, and now they're seeing how good he is now, and they're saying, man, we probably should have signed this kid.
It was interesting after the game, Dosunmu was talking about the success he's had early in the season, and he had an interesting comment where he said that the shoulder injury last year might have been the best thing that happened to him because he was able to take a seat and watch the game and see what areas he needed to improve in to truly be an impact player on the offensive end. And in the 4th quarter against the Hawks, he hit big 3-point shots. You can see that he's not afraid. He's always able to attack the basket in transition, but now he's making plays in the half-court offense as well.
Well, you even go back to that fourth quarter against Orlando where the game was getting kind of tight and it could have went either way. He hit 3 big threes within like a 4-minute span, which were huge. And this comes with confidence. This comes with the ability to know, like, hey, you know what? This is a part of the game I need to work on. And this is when you talk about guys in the summer, what are you doing in the summer to become a better player? Some guys, they want to be on the beach riding banana boats. There are other guys out there in the gym sweating hard 5-6 hours a day. And Io and Buzelis are 2 guys that do that. A lot of the Bulls players that are on that roster are those guys who do that. They're gym rats. And it's obvious that Io has worked on his shooting because he, a couple of years ago, when his first couple of years, he was hesitant to take threes. He did not want to take threes, didn't feel comfortable taking them, and you could tell he was apprehensive. So therefore, with no confidence, you don't make them. Now he has confidence. And again, you work on your game, good results happen.
Let's talk about another backcourt player, Josh Giddey. Of course, signed the 4-year, $100 million contract this summer, and then early results, it looks like he's worth every penny. He's, at 6'8", he doesn't give the impression of being a physically tough guy, but he'll go in there and grab rebounds. He played with a sprained finger and a leg bruise, and Billy Donovan really complimented his toughness after the game, saying he'll play through injuries, and he's been a warrior these first 3 games.
He's from Australia. He plays rugby. Come on, Mark. The guy played rugby in his career.
That's Barbie.
Yeah, he's tough, man. He's a tough kid. He's 6'8". He rebounds like a power forward. He's not afraid to mix it up. When you see him come to the game, he's got that kind of movie star look.
Yeah.
He's got his hair slicked back.
He had the sunglasses walking in there.
He looked like he had a sunglass and I think he had a black mink coat on or something.
Looked like he was going to an award show.
Yeah, he looked like the Matrix. And he came in and I was just like, this dude got some swag to him. But then you take all that off and he puts on a uniform. He's not no pretty boy. He's not out there trying to be, not afraid to mix it up. He's not afraid to take an elbow to the mouth. He's not afraid to go in there and rebound the basketball. And that's where he's so important to this team because you always expected your big guys to rebound. Vuce or Patrick Williams or Buzelis, to have that point guard be able to come in there and snatch boards, 8 or 9 boards a game, that really takes a lot of pressure off your bigs.
You mentioned Kobe White not being with the team, and we got an update that he's doing more on-court work, but they're still going to have to get him in 5-on-5. He's going to have to go up and down the floor and make sure that the calf is going to hold up. Initially, they brought him back for a full practice, and Billy Donovan said he went through everything, but then the next day he experienced some tightness, so now they kind of backed him off. What are you hearing around the team about possible timetables for Kobe?
There is no timetable. It's his timetable when he feels that he could get out there and not have any pain. You have to take these injuries very seriously now because of the fact what we've seen the last couple of years. Guys who've experienced calf strains end up tearing their Achilles.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that's going to happen to Kobe, but our eyes tell us that's what happens. That's the first sign of that happening. So the Bulls, of course, are going to be guarded with him. They're going to say they're not going to rush him back. And right now the team's 3-0. And, the good thing about where we're at right now is the guys that we've lost, him and Zach Collins, we have really good backups. Our second group is just as good as some people's starters. They're playing above they're scoring 40, 50 points a night off the bench. So, we miss those guys and we can hold the fort down until they get back. We definitely need those guys back. But right now, this team is so deep, arguably the deepest team in the NBA. And that has something to do with the reason why they're having success.
Well, obviously, Stacey, you've played at the highest level. It's difficult to get inside the mind of an athlete, but do you think Kobe is a little bit perplexed about what to do? Because right now, the only way he's going to know if that calf is going to hold up, at some point, he's going to have to push it in 5-on-5. And like I said, I saw him on the bench last night, and he's cheering for everybody, but you wonder, what's it going to take for him to overcome that mental hurdle to get back on the court and really push it?
Well, I think, he's a prideful kid. He wants to be out there. It's not like he's milking this injury.
Right.
He's
right.
a guy, when he's hurt, Kobe's hurt. I mean, he's definitely hurt. And I think, this is a contract year for him. This is an important year for him. So that's also got to factor in. You want to get out there and you want to be out there with your teammates. You want to be out there in the middle of the trenches and battling. But also you got to be smart, too. If I'm not 100%, I go out here and tear my Achilles, all of a sudden now, the Bulls are not going to say, hey, we're going to pay you what you're worth. They're going to say, well,
right.
You're hurt, so we're going to give you half. Any team's going to do that.
Yeah.
So that's got to be in the back of his mind. And so I think when he's ready, he'll come back. This is an 82-game season. This is a marathon. This is not a sprint. I don't need Kobe White back, 5 games into the season. If it takes him to come back, he doesn't come back until the middle of November, then so be it. If he doesn't come back to the 1st of December, so be it. He just has to be mentally ready to play, and he has to be physically ready to play.
Let's talk about the front court. Nikola Vucevic is playing very well. Jalen Smith has stepped up in the absence of Zach Collins, giving them really good minutes. And Billy even ran out a small lineup yesterday with Patrick Williams really playing the 5 and Modest at the 4.
Yeah, that was a short-lived lineup.
It's tough to go that small in today's NBA.
Well, and I think what happened was they forgot. Porzingis was on the bench when they went because they had Okongwu in there, and you could go small when he's the center. Mm-hmm. But they snuck Porzingis back in when Quinn Snyder saw that the Bulls went small. He immediately put Porzingis back in. And by the time the Bulls recognized, they'd already, had 2 different series, and they're like, okay, we got to scrap that lineup. But it is a lineup they can use against certain teams. Yeah. It just so happened Porzingis is 7'3", and it's tough to have a small lineup against him because he shoots over everybody.
What did Vuce have against the Hawks? I know he had
17 rebounds.
I mean, he was a monster.
Yes. He had. Let me see. I take that back. He had 17 rebounds. Yeah, he did. He had 17 rebounds. He had 17 points.
Yeah.
I think Vooch, and I said this from the very start with Vooch, Vooch is going to get invigorated if the team is winning, okay? If the Bulls would have started off 0-3 and they've been, their defense was not very good, the offense wasn't very good, you would see Vooch probably like, okay, I want out of here. I think now he's been, energized to say, hey, look, we can be pretty good. These early games, we've beaten, 2 legitimate playoff teams, and, Atlanta's supposed to be a team that's supposed to be in the playoffs this year. The East is down this year. If he can come in, and I said this with them, what they've done with him early, they've established him in the post early. When you establish Vooch in the post early, the offense from the outside becomes easier because you got yourself in a rhythm. He went inside against Detroit, and I'm telling you, if he doesn't do that, the Bulls don't beat Detroit. He hit some tough shots inside, got some tough offensive rebound putbacks, and when he plays like that, there's not too many teams that can deal with him. It's when he's outside and he relies more on his outside shot and he jacks up, 7 or 8 threes and he only hits 2 of them. That's where you see the difference in the team because they're only as good as Vooch is. I mean, Vooch, if you take Vooch off this roster, Mark, it's the youngest team in the league.
Right.
It's the youngest team in the NBA by far, okay? Vooch is like that guy in college where he's the senior and he's the smartest guy on the team. He doesn't play, but he makes a 4.0 and he brings up the grade point average to everybody else. That's Vooch on this team. Vooch is so vital to this team, his passing, his post scoring, and then hitting timely jump shots. He is just as important as Josh Giddey is. And they're starting to establish him in the post. They're starting to recognize mismatches. And I think he likes playing this way. I mean, I haven't asked him personally, but just seeing him, I believe he likes playing this way because the ball's moving. Everybody's cutting. Guys are hitting guys cutting to the basket. It's just not like ball dominant. Let's just run ISOs, ISO. And then he's sitting out on the perimeter being forced to be a jump shooter. So now I think he's been reinvigorated, and we're seeing a really, really good Vooch.
And the bench play, as you mentioned, has been excellent. They got great production in just about every game. And it's funny, I saw Io doing the post-game interview with Casey Johnson after the game, and he mentioned that he stole the slogan from the Golden State Warriors, strength in numbers.
Yeah.
That was their slogan in 2015 when they won the championship. Yeah. I don't think Io realizes that, but he's maybe a copyright.
Well, there might be copyright infringement. But he's got a point. And listen, it's been proven in, as far back as 40 years. If you got a good bench in an 82-game season, your team's going to have success because you can't just play 6 guys. It's not like back in day in college where you play 6 or 7 guys and you can beat everybody because you're only playing once or twice a week. In the pro game, it's not like that. You're playing 3-4 times a week, back-to-back, 3 games in 4 nights. You have to have a bench to come in on nights when you struggle. If you watch last night's game, against the Hawks, the first quarter, the Bulls struggled. They struggled in the first quarter, okay? The second group came in and gave them energy. The second group got control of the game. Atlanta looked like they was going to blow us out in the first quarter. The second group came in, Io and those guys came in, and they played and got back defensively. They got the score back down, started chipping away at the score, and they turned the whole momentum of that game down. The guys who were sitting on the bench, who were the starters, you're watching this. You're saying, wow, we're not coming out with the same energy. These guys hold each other accountable. There's no egos on this team. That's what makes this so fun to watch this team. There's no egos. I'm not saying they had egos before with other guys. I'm just saying every one of these guys knows their role. And they know that, hey, if they're hot, the ball comes to them, the team is going to find them. It doesn't matter who it is. There's 8 guys in double figures last night. There were 7 guys against Orlando. How many teams can say they have 8 guys in double figures on a nightly basis?
Yeah. No, the bench production's been fun to watch, and we haven't even gotten to Modest Buzelis yet. He had a really good game in the opener against Detroit, then he got into foul trouble, and his production was down against Orlando, but he bounced back against the Hawks. And how about that baseline move for the reverse stump? That was sweet.
Let me tell you something. That kid is a super athletic big, okay? He is just scratching the surface of how good he can actually be. I think what he's seeing right now is that he's on everybody's scouting report. See, before, last year, it was like, yeah, he's athletic, he can't shoot, back off of him. Don't worry, don't let him dunk, Now they're game planning to stop him.
Right.
They're saying, hey, this kid can go left, he can go right, he can do it all. Play him physical, bang him as much as you can, because they think right now, I saw it last night in Atlanta. I saw it with Jalen Johnson. They were trying to really frustrate him by being physical with him. And they think teams are thinking that they can come out and just beat him up and think that will take his game away from him. Because in Orlando, he picked up a lot of quick fouls with the bigger guys. You know, he had to guard Banchero. He had to guard, Franz Wagner. And he picked up early fouls, which kind of took him out of his game plan. But, he's a kid that, he's not going to quit. He'll figure it out, and he's starting to see. He figured it out last night. They're trying to play me physical. That's okay. Then I'm going to play physical back. And then he answered the call, and that dunk was amazing. I mean, that was Tom Chambers-like. That was a Tom Chambers type dunk. Yeah. Tom Chambers used to do dunks like that on the baseline and reverse, and he didn't have a lot of room on the baseline. Like it was like a fragment that he was almost out of bounds.
Right. One of the players on the bench was pointing, hey, he's out of bounds.
And the crazy thing about that, Mark, was he drove it with his left hand. He went baseline with his left hand. He didn't go with his dominant right hand. He went hard left. This is why this kid is going to be almost virtually unguardable when he gets a consistent outside jump shot. Because how do you play him? If you don't play him, you let him shoot, he's going to knock down threes. If you push up on him, you don't know which way he's going to go. Because he's like, oh, you're going to take my right hand away, I'm going to go left. And then he's like, okay, we got to play him straight up even, half him in half and just try to move our feet. He's so quick with his dribble. He's confident with the basketball. And I'm telling you, the people who passed on this kid, they said he couldn't dribble or he couldn't shoot, they're punching air right now. Because this kid if he can continue to ascend, he has a chance to do something special here in Chicago and be a cornerstone of this rebuild or this reload, as they like to call it. He could be the face of the franchise.
A couple of guys we haven't mentioned yet who are all part of the strength in numbers that IO coined. Kevin Huerter has been the first guy off the bench, providing outside shooting. And
Red Velvet.
Red Velvet. That was funny. That was a good bit.
No.
not going to work, huh?
No.
You tried it.
No, I tried it because the Atlanta guy said that's what he liked. And then I was like, no, it just doesn't sound right, man. It sounds like a bad porn movie.
But he's a good fit with this team.
Oh,
his ability to shoot the ball and good size. He's actually done okay on the defensive end as well.
He's an underrated defensive player. He's 6'7". Billy has played him in multiple positions. He's played him at the 2, the 3, the 4. He can guard bigger guys. Sometimes he's outmatched size-wise, but he gives you effort. He goes under and he battles. He's not just going to let you just walk all over him. I mean, he had, Banchero on him in Orlando, and Banchero's a load for anybody. And he battled, man. I mean, he took one to the chin. He didn't give up. He fought. And then to have the ability to not only shoot the basketball, Mark, but he can put the ball on the floor and be creative and create for his teammates. He's kind of like a point forward, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Like he can play some point. They had him play point at the end of the game last night against Atlanta to take some pressure off of Josh Giddey, and he did an excellent job. So I mean, he's a jack of all trades. I'm really hoping he's a guy that's going to be here for a while.
Yeah, it's interesting too because Sacramento buried him at the end of the bench.
Man.
They just threw him in that Levine trade, and he's turned out to be a really good piece for the Bulls. The other guy I wanted to mention was Isaac Okoro, who finally got on the score sheet in Game 3. But things he does on defense make him invaluable to this team.
Well, and that's what you hope Bulls fans understand. He's not here for his offense.
Right.
He's here that he guards the toughest person every single night. When we play Sacramento, he'll be on DeMar DeRozan and probably start the game, okay? He'll be on Zach LaVine. He's a guy that can neutralize your main guy. And where offensively, he's not hitting his shots right now, but where he's valuable is second chance opportunities. He crashes the boards. And when your small forward crashes the board, America, okay? The way the NBA is now, when the shot goes up, everybody's already retreating back because they're worried about three-point shots.
Right.
When you send your small forward, power forward, and center to the offensive glass, if those three players who are guarding them do not box them out, it's offensive rebounds all night long. So that means you have to keep three guys in to block them out. So that neutralizes your fast break. You can't fast break when you got three guys going to the offensive rebound every single time the shot goes up. That's where the Bulls struggled last year. They would shoot a three and it'd be one shot and done. Everybody's starting to retreat back. Now you got him going to the glass. Buzelis going to the glass. Vuce is getting offensive rebounds. Patrick Williams is crashing the glass. Guys are going in, getting second chance opportunities and rebounds. Even Kevin Huerter got a couple offensive rebounds. And when you do that, you neutralize the fast break and guys getting out, running, and getting quick shots.
All right, we spent about 20 minutes pumping them up.
We're back!
Undefeated Chicago Bulls.
The Bulls are back, baby!
So we got to be objective, though. What areas do you still think are a bit of a concern as we look forward to this NBA season?
Oh, well, stagnant offense. Sometimes, you saw it in Atlanta game and you saw it in Detroit. When they're up 23, their offense kind of got stagnant and, they couldn't make a shot. That's got to be better. I think recognizing mismatches when your offense is not scoring. When you're not scoring in the flow of your offense and you're getting, cuts and passes. And, okay, who's got the mismatch? Who's got the advantage? Because we're struggling scoring right now. Where can we go to the ball to get us an easy shot, get us a high-efficient shot? Oh, so I see Patrick Williams has got, he's got Trey Young on him. Let's go get that. Let's break the offense and go get that play right there because that supersedes whatever you're trying to do offensively when you have a mismatch, because that's what you're trying to do. You're trying to exploit teams' mismatches, and that's what Atlanta. You watch what Atlanta does. They put Vuce in as many pick and rolls last night as you could put a big in. Because they feel like that's a matchup that they can take advantage of, and other teams are going to do the same thing. Vuce so far is doing a great job getting up and challenging it. Sometimes he lacks and does that drop zone stuff, and then the Bulls pay for it. He's got to consistently get up on those pick and rolls and help defensively because I said this on the broadcast, I don't want Vuce switching on guards. It's a total mismatch every single time, and it puts your defense in a domino effect because you got to constantly run around helping people out. If they can find a way for Vuce to be able to seal his man and push up on him where his man can't roll and pick and pop, and the guard can go under. That's why I wish I had my poster machine right now here at the Gimme the Hot Sauce Studios, because I can show you exactly what I'm talking about. So when the big man goes and sets the screen, instead of Vuce being 5 foot off of him or 3 feet off of him, he actually marries himself to him, body on body. So it takes away the roll part of the game.
Right.
So like a Porzingis can't pick and pop. Okay. So then as you seal the guy, you're like this. You seal him. The guard goes underneath and collects the guard going over the top. Now, you may sometimes give up a 3-point shot, but you're still going to be in position to contest it as long as your guard doesn't take a 5-foot circle instead of like a 2-foot circle to collect that guy. Yeah. So there's ways to implement for Vuce, but really I would say don't switch with Vuce in any pick and roll situation because it's not fair to him. You're putting him in a situation where he's going to struggle, and teams are going to pick that apart. Good, you're going to see it. You're going to see it against the Knicks this weekend with Brunson. Brunson's going to run a pick and roll. They're going to run a pick and pop with Cat, and that's going to put the Bulls in a situation where they're going to have to make adjustments quick.
So we're a week into the new NBA season. The Bulls are one of 4 unbeaten teams. We've got Philadelphia. We've got, of course, the defending champion Oklahoma City Thunder, and the San Antonio Spurs. Victor Wembanyama. We've talked about it. Won't be long before he takes over the league. It might be now.
It's now, Mark. It's Mark. I mean,
he is a monster.
Listen, I don't know if any of y'all out there play NBA 2K. Okay, you can create a guy now like a 7'3", 7'4" guy and make him a point guard. It's called the Wemby build, and they have a Wemby build on NBA 2K. And I swear, when you watch Wemby play, it's like watching NBA 2K.
Wow.
The ball handling and just the dunks. He looks like he's
so much stronger this year. The way he's finishing at the rim.
Oh my goodness. Well, this is year 3 for him. And he's a student of the game. I saw a video on Instagram or Twitter, one of them, and they showed him a baby Wemby.
Yeah.
He was playing in a youth league, and he's probably 10 years old, and you could see like he looked like Bambi, like he was so wiry. And what you saw in him as a young Wemby, he hates to lose. He hated for a guy to score on him. A guy would score on him, and he'd kind of throw a tantrum. He'd hit the ball, slap the ball, and he'd probably say something in French we didn't know what he was saying, but it really agitated him for his team to lose or him to give up an easy basket where he thought he could have blocked the shot. And now you see him now, as a young man, he's the same way. Like he wants to be great. I read an article where he said, he looked at Chet Holmgren in Oklahoma City winning the championship. See, those two are rivals.
They played, a lot of
they're
years
rivals.
against each other.
They're rivals.
Yeah.
And they're friends. They're friends. They're friendly. But they measure each other against each other.
And Chet's got a championship.
So this is driving Wemby to get him one.
Yeah.
And I just saw that today, which is really cool to see that he's motivated by what others do and trying to top them.
How high do you think San Antonio can finish realistically, though? Because the West is loaded. I mean, can they be a top 4 team, top 6 team, or are they where do you see them?
I can see them being like Detroit. Like how Detroit was last year. I can see them being that 5 or 6, legit playoff team. It's all going to depend on, De'Aaron Fox and what they're going to do at the point guard position, because they're trying to bring Dylan Harper, the rookie, along slowly. He's coming off the bench right now. I think his first game he had 14 points. You got Stephon Castle. They're playing right now currently as the point guard. He's really more of a 2-3 wing.
Dylan Harper's look good too.
Yeah, Dylan Harper's looking, but as you know, they went out and paid. They paid a lot to get De'Aaron Fox.
Right.
In,
yeah.
So he's injured right now, but he's going to come back at some point. And I think the key for San Antonio is how well he fits in with Wemby, because it's clearly Wemby's team.
Oh, it's his league.
It's Wemby's world.
Yeah. Yeah, there's storyline from the opening week. A lot of injuries around the league. Luka got hurt. He's going to miss at least a week. Anthony Edwards strained a hamstring. He's out a couple of weeks. Of course, we're still waiting for LeBron to make his season debut. That could be mid-November. But in the absence of Luka, you see what Austin Reeves, he looked like Luka these last 2 games, 51 and 41. I mean, it's crazy.
Listen, if he hasn't shown you that he's a number 2, number 3 on that team, he's a third option.
Well, the Lakers got lucky getting him, man.
But listen, he fell in their lap.
Anybody could have signed him.
Anybody could have signed him. Exactly. He basically told teams that he didn't, because Detroit really wanted him.
Mm-hmm.
Detroit really wanted him, and they told Detroit, his representative said, "No, don't draft us. We're not coming." So then he went to the free agent route, and they ended up getting a steal for him. And listen, if you watched him in college, he was at Oklahoma, and he was at Wichita State before that. If you watched him play in college, the kid he's tough, he's hard as nails, and he can score the basketball.
Looks like Larry Bird out there, the way he's backing guys down, shooting over the top of them.
The headband ain't for everybody, okay? But it's working for Austin Reeves, okay? It's working for him. He's dropping 50s and 40s. You know what? He's just showing that all the years he's been in this league, being, with LeBron and being around some veterans, he's learned a lot. And then playing with Luka, he's learned a lot. So he just waited for his opportunity, and he went out there to make the most of it. And I tell you what, they beat Sacramento, and DeMar DeRozan was complaining about how many times he went to the foul line.
Like 22 free throws.
You know what? Austin Reeves has got a reputation out there,
it's going to be funny when LeBron comes back. You can almost see him at the bench. The wheels are turning. He's going to be the third option, because Austin Reeves is a better scorer than LeBron now.
Yeah, well, listen, I don't know about all that, Mark. I mean, it conceivably could be. Like,
how's that going to work? Because Luka and Reeves want the ball in their hands, and so does LeBron.
Let me tell you something. As long as LeBron James is there, LeBron James gonna get the ball anytime he wants to. Luka gonna give it up, and Reeves gonna give it up. That's why they're gonna have to make a decision soon, because it's like, LeBron is at that point in his career. How many years is he actually gonna play? You know, you saw the contract that Kevin Durant got 2 years in Houston. You know, they didn't. The Lakers haven't offered an extension to him yet, and that's for whatever reason, I don't know. But are they trying to move on from him? They don't want to invest those 2 years in him. You know, is he going to wait to draft his other son, and they don't want to be in that situation? You know, because his son's playing in Arizona,
right?
You know, and he said he wants to play with both his sons. And do you really want to go through that again if you're the Lakers?
No,
you know, whether the son is good or not, you already went through that one time. So, you know, and is he willing to turn the keys over to Luka? Is he willing to say, yeah, you know what? Yeah, Luka's the man. Just like Anthony Davis had to do when he came over from New Orleans to LeBron. He's used to be the number one guy in New Orleans. The ball touched my hands every single time down the floor. When he came to the Lakers, he had to accept the 2 role. I had to be the second fiddle. I want to win, so I'll accept that role. LeBron, at the end of the day, I think wants to win. He wants to win a championship, and if that's the case, then he'll accept whatever role the Lakers need him to play.
Yeah, it's going to be fascinating to watch when LeBron comes back, how they get enough shots for all 3 of those guys. I want to give you one note. The Windy City Bulls started training camp this week, and a lot of people were excited about the possibility of Mac McClung, the 3-time NBA slam dunk champion, playing in Hoffman Estates.
Breaking news.
We got breaking news, and we're sorry to report this, but Mac McClung, good for him, has signed a multi-year contract with the Indiana Pacers. We talked about it last week. We were surprised that no NBA team really reached out. McClung, the Windy City Bulls swung a trade, so they have his G League rights, but that's all gone now because he's got an NBA deal. So congrats to him, but that's a bad deal for Windy City.
Congratulations to him because he really has worked his butt off to put himself in this position. I was surprised that he hasn't been in there sooner. You know, he's not just a dunker. You know, everybody, they look at him as just being a show dunker, you know, NBA dunk contest, but the kid can actually play. You know, he can shoot the ball, and that's a good place for him because, you know, Rick Carlisle likes tough kids, and this kid's been through a lot. You know, the G League up and down, up and down, up and down, and he hasn't given up. He hasn't given up his dream. You know, maybe he molds him into being another T.J. McConnell kind of player, but a better athlete.
Yeah.
Who knows?
So we'll see him playing for one of the Bulls' rivals in Indiana. We'll see if Mac McClung's possibilities of taking off as an NBA player because he really developed in the G League. He was able to shoot the 3 efficiently, a former G League MVP. So we'll see how that affects what's going on in Windy City. They opened the season on November 8th. I think that pretty much wraps up everything we got around the league, other than Lauri Markkanen had 50. Yeah. Talk about development. I mean, here's a guy that, you know, when he was with the Bulls, a lot of times they told him stand in the corner, wait for the ball to come to you. He'd become a go-to option now.
I'm just going to say this, okay? Fred Hoiberg, they give Fred his flowers because Fred saw that in Lowry before anybody else did, okay? Fred had him out there, you know, almost being like Dirk Nowitzki. His first year in Chicago, you looked at him as going, this kid could be an all-star. When the coaching change happened, you got, you know, Jim Boylan, let's punch the clock in. Let's put our boots on. You know, we're going to play Lowry, you're a 7-footer. You're going to be a traditional center. We're going to put you inside, and you're going to play center. And then that kind of, you know, Lowry got frustrated. You could tell he was unhappy with his role on that team. And then, you know, they end up moving him. But now you look at him. He goes to Cleveland. He really develops in Cleveland because he's playing the same role in Cleveland that Mobley is playing right now in Cleveland. Yeah. You know, being able to handle the ball, be able to shoot the ball is the same role. And then, you know, he goes to Utah and he takes off and becomes an all-star. And you look back at all these guys that we've had, these young guys that we've had, and you see them in the league and you see them flourishing. You see him, you see Wendell Carter Jr., you know, Matt Strus. You see guys that we've had. Daniel Gafford. We see guys that we've had on this roster that are taking off, that are playing, you know, Bobby Portis, you know, have been playing really, really well. And you think, man, what if? You know, what if we would have kept those guys and let them, you know, develop at a certain pace and let them grow? You know, maybe you had to wait 4 or 5 years. Maybe you're in a situation at Patrick Williams. You had to wait 6 years for them to reach their potential. But, man, how fun it would have been to see these guys, like, in their mid-20s, you know, and the way they're playing now, and other teams play that way in Chicago.
One other NBA note, we mentioned Philadelphia being unbeaten. Joel Embiid has come back, and he's kind of been in and out. He had one good game early in the season. They said he's dropped weight. He's moving well. But the guy was really drawing headlines around the league is the rookie VJ Edgecombe, who's been scoring close to 30 points a game. I mean, he looks like the second coming of Andrew Toney or something like that.
No, the second coming of MJ. Okay.
Oh, come on now.
No, I'm telling you. He's got that kind of athleticism. I'm telling you, I think he missed a dunk yesterday when or the day before they were playing New York, and he tried to jump over Cat on a play. I'm telling you, he's explosive. And the thing you like about this kid, if you listen to him at the draft, how could you not love this kid? You know, he talked about growing up in the Bahamas. He talked about his mother not having enough for food and heat, and how they all, survive by just relying on each other. They're a close-knit group. And, he's in the league, as he said, because to help my family. I'm not in it for myself. I'm not in it to buy cars and houses and all the girls and all that stuff that comes along with being in the NBA. He's in the NBA to take care of his mother who broke her back to take care of him and his brothers and sisters. And it was refreshing to hear. And you watch him play. They asked him the other night, he was playing Con Knipple in Charlotte. When you're playing another fellow draftee, do you get up to play these guys? And he flat out said, it's basketball. I get up to play everybody.
Yeah.
It's not just who I'm playing against tonight or I'm playing another rookie. I just approach the game as basketball. I'm going to play whoever's in front of me. And that's an answer that you would hear a superstar player like a Kobe say or a Michael say. And this kid's, 19 years old saying those kind of things, which is really refreshing to hear.
Yeah, it's been crazy. You can think back to the draft and the lottery last year. Philadelphia, if they didn't have a top 6 pick, that pick was going to go to Oklahoma City. Oh. They got lucky in the lottery. They move up to 4, and they get Edgecombe, when they could have lost their pick completely because they had a horrible year last year with all the injuries. They bottomed out. They tanked at the end of the year, and a lot of times that doesn't work. But I'll tell you what, they sure got lucky with getting this kid.
Well, listen, I'm putting my GM hat on right now. Okay, this is my GM hat for the Philadelphia 76ers. I'm trading Embiid. I'm trading Paul George, and I'm building around that, Maxey
that backcourt,
and Edgecombe and the shooter from Duke that's hurt right now.
Jared McCain.
Yeah. And then I'm going in this draft trying to get this because this draft is better than last year's draft. And there are some studs. The kid from Kansas, Peterson, is a stud.
How about what Boozer did in that exhibition game?
Boozer, these are guys that can change the fortune of your franchise. And, the thing about and I when I say trade Embiid, he's injury prone. His whole career, I don't even know if he's played 82 games in a season, okay? He's injury prone. He's a super talent. He's a former MVP. When he's healthy, he's the most dominant player in the league. But we haven't seen him healthy. He won the MVP, and we haven't seen that player since.
Right.
So if you're Philadelphia, you know what you see behind closed doors. You know how he is. You know how he rehabs. You know how he takes care of himself. If you think that if you're looking at a 5-year plan, an 8-year plan, do you feel that he's going to be dominant in the next 5 years or 8 years?
But who's going to take those contracts? Either one of them.
You'd be surprised if you think about championship. And here's what you're going to get.
Think the Lakers will take Embiid?
Here's what you're going to get in Embiid: a motivated Embiid because he got traded.
Yeah,
he'll come in the best shape. He'll come in. He'll look totally different, and he'll be an MVP caliber player because his pride would be hurt from being traded. This is a franchise that he was the process and all this stuff that came along with it. And then they gave up on him. You would get a motivated Embiid. You would have a chance to win a championship in a 2 or 3 year span with that guy.
Yeah, Embiid dropped a lot of weight, but if that left knee is structurally wrecked, I don't know what he can do, really.
Well, and the thing that, listen, he probably should have skipped the Olympics. I mean, the team wanted him to skip the Olympics, I think. He probably should have skipped the Olympics to get healthy. He went and played the Olympics, made it worse. He missed training camp. He missed that window to get healthy. Had he not gone to the Olympics and did all the Olympic training and stuff, he probably would have been able to heal properly and be ready for the season. But since he went to the Olympics, that threw that out the window, and then he came in hurt when the season started.
So Philadelphia off to a good start, and keep an eye on their rookie VJ Edgecombe. He is fun to watch.
He's the real deal.
We're going to talk football coming up next. The Bears hit a bump in the road in Baltimore over the weekend, even with Lamar Jackson out of the lineup. So we'll talk about that with our Bears analyst, Glenn Morgan. But first, I want to tell you about our great buddy, one of our loyal sponsors, and now my insurance agent, Jeff Vucevic.
Really? Did you get a discount? You get a discount?
We did some business. Jeff was great. He took care of me and my family, so we
Good
appreciate
job.
that very much. So you should reach out to Jeff as well. He will treat you like royalty. He'll take care of all your insurance needs, auto, home, and business. And tell him Mark Shanowski sent you.
And maybe give you the Mark Shanowski discount.
You never know.
A bag of Doritos.
You can reach him at jeffvuk.com. That's VUK.com. The phone number, 847-825-4783. Tell him you heard about it on Gimme the Hot Sauce. And he's got the best jingle in the business.
You're really pushing it today, Mark. Nationwide is on your side. The Golden Pipe's a little rusty. America, a little rusty.
Games every other night.
Oh,
the NBA
lying.
schedule is unrelenting.
Listen, if Michael Jackson get it done, I'm going to do it too. I always show up to perform, baby.
Coming up next, we talk Bears on Gimme the Hot Sauce. Back on Gimme the Hot Sauce, we were all fired up about the Bears going to Baltimore with the news that Lamar Jackson was going to miss the game. Tyler Snoop Huntley was going to get the start, the veteran journeyman backup quarterback, and he played like Lamar, and the Bears wound up with an L.
Oh, Mark. Just when I'm getting ready to put all the chips in, I'm sold. I'm like, okay, the Bears are going to the Super Bowl. I'm ready. This is all laid out. We said earlier last show, that if Lamar Jackson plays, that's going to be a tough win for them, okay? When I found out he wasn't playing, I was like, win. Then we got the Bengals. Joe Flacco's playing good, but still Joe Flacco. Win. And then we're gonna play the Giants, they got a rookie quarterback. They're not consistent. Win. And I was so excited. And then all of a sudden, dun, 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 dun.
Well, it's funny because when I was driving in to tape the show, I was listening to the score, and they were saying that, well, now they're going the next 4 games. Bengals win, Giants win, Vikings win, Steelers win. I'm like, ho. Yeah, we played that game already. Let's go 1 week at a time. And with that in mind, let's bring in our Bears analyst, Glenn Morgan.
To talk us off the ledge.
Yeah. What happened, Glenn, in that game? I mean, it was crazy that, you went in with a backup quarterback. No, I kind of gave Huntley a bad rap. He did have some good experience as a starter in the NFL. He's had some good years over the past, but he was on the practice squad until Friday, and then he shows up and he looked like Lamar. The Bears defense had been so good forcing takeaways. They had led the league in that category. 0 takeaways in the game in Baltimore.
Right. Well, here's where, as you mentioned, to talk you off the ledge, bring some pragmatism to the conversation here. Remember what we said last week was that as long as the Bears stay away from penalties, they got a good chance to win on the road. They can't have those kind of penalties, double-digit penalties on the road. It's exactly what they did. And they didn't have the turnovers to offset the penalties, which is what they've been doing. Plus 13 in terms of turnovers going into this game, 0, actually -1 if you consider the costly turnover that the Bears had on their own side of the field that led to the Ravens with a go-ahead touchdown. So the Bears basically had been doing what they were doing, just without the execution and success of turnovers. And this is what we have. So there's still a work in progress. And you mentioned it. I mean, the first quarter, the Bears are dominating the game. You're talking 125 yards. So I think like 8 yards that the Ravens had, but 6 points.
Yeah, you got to get touchdowns.
Struggles again inside the red zone. Penalties, costly penalties. End of the half. Again, making mistakes that are unforced mistakes. Instead of Caleb running out of bounds, he slides inbounds. Clock is still going. Next play, he has the intentional grounding, intentional grounding, which is loss of down and yards, and then they do the hurry up. They did a great job with their hurricane field goal, getting everyone situated to go for the field goal, but it's too far away. Those 10 plus yards that they lost was basically the field goal that Santos would have made. So now you're down 10-6 out of 10-9. And really, they just never could quite find that footing. And it's crazy because when you look at it statistically, the Bears were pretty much right there. They had more yards, but they couldn't score. And again, time of possession was negligible. It's like a 30-second, maybe a minute difference overall. Right. But the Ravens had first downs when they needed to have the first down, 24 first downs and 19. Third down percentage is about the same, but it's being effective. And you mentioned that Huntley looked like Lamar. Not so much, but to your point, they could still do the same. They could still implement the same kind of offense that they do with Lamar. Now, Huntley is a veteran, and he's been on that team before. So although he was on the practice squad, we're being a little disingenuous. He's been with that team before, and so he's familiar with how they operate, at least in terms of efficiency and effectiveness. And he did just enough to win. And unfortunately, the Bears offense did just enough to not win. The defense kept the game, within range, but the Bears were unable to be effective down the stretch. And it was a one score difference, going to the fourth quarter. So the game was there to be had. It's just the Bears couldn't do what they needed to do, and they're still struggling to be efficient and effective. And a lot of that between the head coach and the quarterback and facilitating for the rest of the offense.
We talked about this last week and being able to handle success. It's like they had these big leads and all of a sudden they take their foot off the accelerator. How much do you think them looking at this schedule and seeing that, oh, listen, Lamar Jackson is coming, that's going to be a tough game, and then find out that he's not going to be there and coming in much more relaxed, like we got this? Because it just seemed to me like they were just out of sync. They didn't have the same energy that we've seen in the first few games. They weren't flying to the ball like we've seen them fly to the ball defensively.
I hear what you're saying because of the outcome, and I get that as a fan, as a perspective that we would have that. But I disagree because it's not so much the defense. The offense has been the ineffective part. The defense was doing what it could to stay. I mean, they almost had an interception. A ball was tipped, and his body was going one way, and the ball went the other way because it got tipped. That could have been a pick six potentially, but there was an opportunity to get a turnover to flip the field. I think the Bears did what they had to do defensively to stay in the game. They contained King James. King Henry. They contained him. They kept Huntley from finding rhythm. They just couldn't make the plays when they needed to, and the offense didn't do many favors. And field position was a huge factor. The special teams for the Ravens were able to flip the field, having the Bears down inside the 5-yard line, and again a penalty. So now you move even further back, and it just led to a situation where Caleb more or less looked like he stared a doomsday down. They know that's his favorite receiver. Wiggins jumped the route. It was an interception. Monangai, if you've seen the replay, was kind of open. So that could have been something to kind of keep the chains moving. I think what happens is that you find you still have a young quarterback. I'm not trying to put all this on Caleb. It sounds like I am, but I'm not. It's a term. Time is what we're dealing with here in the maturation process. And you have Caleb kind of fighting himself with what the coach wants him to do, and to kind of, there's a Zen situation. And I know not Phil Jackson's Zen, but there's a situation where you need to learn how to submit and be committed to that submission. And Caleb is still kind of finding his own instincts with what Johnson wants him to do within structure. Once that marriage happens fully, I think we'll get the best of Caleb, and this offense will be able to do. There's a lot of missed passes he made. Even at the end of the game, you saw DJ wide open in the back of the end zone, and he totally missed them. It's things like that, those missed opportunities where it's small initially, but over the course of the game, you look at it in its completion as a whole, those minor things add up to what we see now and some of these losses that were winnable. Hopefully they're learning from this so that when they go to Cincinnati next week, they can take advantage. What's going to look bad is if the Bears lose to a Bengals team that allowed a Jets team that was one of the worst offenses in the league and came back in the fourth quarter to win on the road. If the Bears are not able to do what the Jets did, that's when you're going to really hear the fans say, like, what the is going on here?
Well, let's be honest. The offense is bad right now. We talked last week that Ben Johnson was unhappy after the win over the Saints because the offense stunk, that they won because of turnovers. And it's looking right now that this Bears team is totally dependent on getting turnovers. If they don't get them, they're not going to win because their offense isn't good enough to sustain drives and score touchdowns in the red zone. Caleb is inconsistent. A lot of people around the league are wondering about that quarterback draft class. They're saying that who's the best in the draft class, Drake May or Jaden Daniels. Nobody even mentions Caleb Williams anymore because he's been disappointing. And I wonder what his ceiling may be. Maybe we were all over our skis thinking he was going to be an elite quarterback. I don't see it right now.
You're right. The key phrase as you ended it is right now. And we are prisoners of the moment. And right now, it does not look good. And right now, in comparison to Bo Nix, who's having fantastic success with the Broncos after already going to the playoffs last year, looking at Drake May, they're atop their division, beating the Bills in Buffalo, and he's looking better. He's dropping dimes. Even the Atlanta Falcons have had success with Penix. And outside of JJ, who hasn't really played, Caleb is looking the lesser of his contemporaries, and that's the situation right now. And yeah, it's a situation right now. Again, I think as we watch and we appraise Caleb, we have to factor in it's learning how to fight against what you've always done. I'll put it for example: if Caleb were in an offense somewhat similar to what Washington runs, he might feel more comfortable. Here, he's learning how to have to constrain himself and play within structure for this offense to be successful, and that's what you need. And right now, that marriage isn't fully committed just yet. And once he's able to do that, I think we'll see more consistency. Now, on top of that, to your point, in terms of Caleb, outside of what anyone else is doing, you have to connect on those open passes. You can't keep overthrowing your receivers. You can't keep missing downfield for those explosive plays. You can't continue to keep holding the ball waiting for a Dunze who you're comfortable with to become someone that becomes a crutch for you. You're going to have to involve everybody else as well. Your tight ends, your running backs. There are things and there are plays that are there to be made, and it may be a 3-yard play or a 4-yard play, and that's okay because that's going to set up something else later on. I don't think he's seeing the full tapestry yet, or he's not committed to the big picture just yet. Because right now he's kind of, instead of being the maestro of an orchestra, right now Caleb's kind of playing like that first violin, and he's not thinking about the whole concerto. He really needs to commit himself so that offense can be less discordant and more harmonious.
Well, that's what I'm seeing right now, Glenn, is that he's not spraying the ball around the field. He's not getting everybody involved. He's locking in on one receiver. And until he does that, until he recognizes, throw the ball to Swift in the flat, find the tight end, find, DJ Moore, who's a very reliable receiver,
yes,
you're going to struggle. He's going to struggle. He's holding on to the ball too long, waiting for Dunze to get open. The things that, that you saw with Justin Fields, basically, how are they going to combat that? What are they going to do? Are they going to rely more on the running game to take some pressure off? Because I thought the last 2 weeks up before this game, the running game was starting to get established, and it looked really, really good. And it just all of a sudden kind of went to a screeching halt, a little bit.
I don't think the running game was that bad this past game. It was a matter of sometimes down in distance and a penalty. And then, at times where the defense, because the other guys are getting paid too, they scout you out and they know it's going to be a run play. So now instead of, second and maybe 6 or second and 7 even, because they penetrated because they knew you were going to run the ball. Now you're looking at second and 12, second and 13. And so what do you do? And so the running game became a little less effective, in terms of, being utilized more so because they were a down and distance situation. You look at Swift, I mean, he only had like 4 carries going into about maybe 6, 7, 5 minutes left in the third quarter. And that shouldn't be the case, based upon how well the running game had been established the last couple of weeks. So to answer your question, what do you do to combat that? It's really, you get back. I hate to sound, trite, but you get back to doing the basics. You do the simple things well, and you do simple things consistently, and you have to commit to that. You have to realize that a 3-yard gain is better than an incompletion or better than a loss of yards. You have to realize throwing away the ball is better than taking a sack. You have to realize that running out of bounds when you need to saves you time so that you have your other timeouts that you can use. It's all these little things. It's the football plays that need to be made, and that's going to come with getting more and more acclimated to one another. But again, it kind of comes from the top down. So, your head coach calling the plays. If Caleb likes to run so much, maybe you call more rollouts. Maybe the play action isn't something that you go to as much. Maybe you do more rollouts to get him kind of settled in a little bit so he kind of gets a feel for what he does best. Then you get to what you do. That might be the case. Implementing Roshan a little bit more on short yardage instead of trying to do a pass play on short yardage. Implementing your tight ends. All these little things you have to do. But more importantly, you got to stay away from the pre-snap penalties. Those things are killers. The defense has had a couple of penalties too. You can't have penalties at the wrong time. And these are things that are self-inflicted wounds. The Bears stay away from that. They can compete and beat most teams in this league if they're having those same issues like we've seen over the last since the season began, really, and they're not getting the turnovers. You're going to see a lot of what we saw, especially against teams that have a lot of talent. As much of the Ravens have struggled this year, keep in mind, this is a team that routinely has been in the playoffs. They know how to win. They know one another. Even without Lamar, these guys, they know what to do, and there's a lot of talent on this team, and there's a lot of continuity, so they can fight through the adversity and they can weather the storm a little bit better than what the Bears are right now. Key game is next week against Cincinnati. You have to take advantage of their porous defense, and you have to keep Flacco and those two receivers on the sidelines. I know Flacco's 75 years old, but those receivers are very young and very, very dangerous receivers. So you keep them on the sidelines, you control the clock, you don't make any penalties, you can beat Cincinnati. It's a very winnable game for the Bears.
All right, we'll see what happens. Obviously, the Bears are beat up in the secondary. Hopefully, they can hold up against Joe Flacco and those great receivers. Glenn, thanks a lot. We will talk to you next week.
Oh no, there's no way you're getting off here without Stacey committing to something between Tennessee and Oklahoma. Oh no, it's going
Stacey's
down.
He's off that bandwagon already.
Listen, I'm not off the bandwagon yet, Mark. Don't speak for me. As soon as I'm back,
where's your Georgia hat?
Mark, that's uncalled for. Okay.
Alabama?
You see, Tim's not here. There's a reason why Tim's not here. He's unemployed. So Mark, don't go down that road.
Find him in a ditch
It might just be the Stacey King show by myself talking because my two friends have turned on me. But no, listen, let me tell you something, Glenn. Don't come on my show talking about the Tennessee Volunteers, okay? Let me tell you what's going to happen to them this week. They got to come down to Norman, and we're going to open a can of whoop ass, okay? Look, okay, Cisco, you're fired. Okay, there you go. Cisco put up the score at Ole Miss. That was uncalled for, unnecessary. Okay, we lost a tough one to Ole Miss. Ole Miss is going to beat a lot of people in the SEC. Don't sleep on Ole Miss, okay? But Tennessee's got to come down to Norman. They're not the same Tennessee they were last year. They're not. What are they ranked?
We're still top 25.
Okay, we're right at the top 25 too. So it's two top 25 teams meeting. Something's got to give.
Our only losses are to, Alabama and Georgia. No shame. You lost to who again?
We lost to Ole Miss. We lost to Texas. Both those teams are top 25 teams. Okay.
Yeah, Texas.
All right. So let me tell you something, buddy. Don't try to discredit our losses and try we lost to the Sisters of the Poor. We lost to two powerhouse SEC teams. Okay. So I'm just gonna go on a limb and say the Sooners are plus 14.
Plus, can I get you on this one? It's just like a Portillo's on the line, or we got
Listen,
something
man.
here.
Listen, man. It's a friendly bet, okay? Because I can't bet. We're getting in a lot of trouble here in the NBA.
That's right.
With betting.
Stacey signed away his life. He can't bet.
I can't bet. I can't even bet a bag of Doritos, okay? But it's a friendly man, gentleman's bet. That we're going to. It's a trash talking bet.
Yeah.
My Sooners going to win plus 14. We're going to win by 14.
That's much better than any sandwich. All right, Glenn, we'll talk to you next week.
All right, guys, have a great week.
Glenn Morgan, our Bears analyst and proud Tennessee Volunteer fan.
Real proud.
Yeah.
Too proud.
Hey, before we get out of here, did you stay up to watch the baseball? I know you were working, covering the Bulls-Hawks game. Did you watch any of that when you got back home?
I've seen game 2. I've seen game 1.
Yeah.
Saw a little bit of game 2. But we're playing.
Yeah. No, it was 18 innings. It wasn't over until 2 in the morning.
I didn't know it was 18 innings. I went to bed.
Okay.
Who was that? Is that little Vlad?
That's little Vlad. Yeah.
Little Vlad.
Vlad Jr.
Look at him.
When his dad was playing for the Montreal Expos, the late, great Montreal Expos.
Wow.
But Freddie Freeman did it again. 18th inning, home run.
Listen, man. Listen. The Dodgers are just the best team money can buy, man.
Money can buy. That's a key phrase there.
Hey, listen, if you want to compete against the Dodgers, you better open up the pocketbook.
Yeah.
Because they're the new Yankees of this new era. The Yankees used to be the team that nobody could outspend. And now, since George Steinbrenner has passed away, the Suns like, no, we're gonna save some of this money. We're not gonna spend all this money. So the Dodgers now have taken over that mantle as being a team that, whatever it takes for us to win and continue to win World Series, we will do whatever it takes. We will pay whatever we have. And they're getting all the best players. They're gonna get some players next year too.
Oh, they will. They'll keep spending. And Ohtani continues to marvel. In Game 3, he had 2 home runs, 2 doubles in his first 4 at-bats. He hit a home run to tie the game at 5, which set up that whole extra inning thing. And then for the rest of the game after the 7th inning, they intentionally walked him every time he came up. So he set a record. He was on base all 9 times, 5 intentional walks.
Well, great players are always going to find a way
and he's pitching Game 4.
They're always going to find a way to be great. That first game was like, just the way that Toronto blew the doors off, you're like, okay, listen, Snell has been pitching phenomenal all season long. That had to be the layoff because he did not look as dominant as he has been, not only in the postseason, but in the regular season. He's been pretty much unhittable. And he got out there, man, he got shellacked. And I was just like, wow, if they get to him, he's the number 1 guy. What are they going to do to everybody else? Nothing. Absolutely nothing.
Yeah, I think after the Blue Jays lost in 18 innings, this is not going back to Toronto. I think the Dodgers will win the next two, and that'll be all sure.
No. I mean, listen, it's baseball. Anything can happen. Somebody can get, pitching can shut someone down. Hitters get hot. It can happen. I don't think anybody expected them to erupt like they did in Game 1. So anything can happen. But the Dodgers are probably saying, "Man, let's end this," because we do not.
They don't want to go back to Canada
because it's 2 games. It's the final 2 games.
6 and 7 would be in Canada, but they're not going to be playing.
You don't want it to be there, Mark, if you're the Dodgers.
Right.
But so you want to end it at home.
I love LA and then have the parade and everything else.
Yeah, you want to end in LA because I don't know. You go back to Toronto, man, with their crowd and their energy in that building. I don't know.
Yeah, so baseball season winding to a close, and Shohei Ohtani being recognized around the globe as maybe the greatest baseball player ever. Anything else you want to talk about before we get out of here?
Mark, I'm tired.
He's been working a lot of games.
Mark is every other day right now. They got me. I'm like in a sweat.
Going to New York this weekend.
I'm going. Oh, yeah, I'm looking forward to
Madison Square Garden.
Madison Square Garden. We got Sacramento coming up. We got New York twice.
Home and home.
Home and home.
Like the old days.
And the tournament starts. The tournament starts this weekend. So that's one of the tournament games against the Knicks. And hopefully my Bulls will be undefeated coming into the weekend against the Knicks.
Stacey's
and
riding
that would be a showdown because there are always good games against the Knicks. I'm telling you, listen, Bulls Nation, I know there's some people out there who don't believe this is real. Okay, I know y'all just sitting there waiting for the sky is falling, Chicken Little. The sky is falling. We're doomed. We're never going to make it. We're a playing team. Let me tell you something. We still got tickets to get on the bandwagon. We're not sold out yet. There's still some seats available on the Bulls AK 25-26 tour. Get on board while you can because I'm telling you, what you're seeing is real. This is not a fluke. Are they going to win 82 games and go 82 games? Absolutely not. Are they going to win a championship year? If I was a betting man, I'd say no. But they're going to be better, and they should avoid the play-in game this year and be a solid 5-6 team and have to avoid the play-in. And that would be a huge improvement from what we've seen the last couple of years with this team being constantly in the play-in game. So if they can avoid injury, we already had 2 to start off the season, but it's a very deep team. And the really cool thing, Mark, they're fun to watch. Like, it's fun calling these games. Me and Adam, we deserve a winner. we
Absolutely.
Bulls
fans too.
We the Bulls fans, all of us, we deserve a winner, man. Yeah. This is one of the best cities, best sports cities in America. The fans, deserve a winning team. We deserve to call a good game. I mean, the vibe is so good there right now in these first 3 games, and this is the first 3 games. Again, they're not going to go 82-0. It's not going to happen. There are going to be some games where they lose 4 out of 5. But what you want to see is improvement. You want to see a consistency on the defensive end. You want to see, consistently having the deepest team in the league play like the deepest team in the league. Guys stepping up. You don't have an alpha. There's not a guy on your team like, we don't have a Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, a star player that's star-driven. This is how the NBA is going to be in a few years. You're going to see teams build teams the way the Bulls are building, the way Oklahoma City has built their teams through the draft, and start having a collection of guys instead of 3 players getting all the money and then you're putting pieces together. This is the new wave. I mean, you don't need they're starting to believe you don't need a superstar to win.
Hey, we mentioned betting a couple of times. I'd be remiss if I didn't ask before we get out of here. The whole NBA betting scandal with Chauncey Billups and Terry Rozier, Jones. That whole thing is very ugly, especially a guy like Chauncey, who's a Hall of Famer, first-class guy with the Pistons. And I'm sure you've heard stories, maybe you were playing or post-playing days, guys approached about, gamblers and trying to get involved. And that's something that the league tries to monitor very closely.
You're innocent until proven guilty, okay? You knew this was going to happen once betting was allowed on in the NBA. You knew something like this was going to happen. And what they should have done, and, I'm not telling, Adam Silver how to do his job, but you should have made it abundantly clear that if you get caught, any player in this league, no matter who it is, if you get caught engaging in any gambling whatsoever, it's a year suspension with no pay for a whole year. If you get caught a second time, it's a lifetime ban.
Well, they kicked Jonte Porter out of the league.
Yeah,
first offense.
Well, Jonte Porter is like 12th man.
But still, he was.
But would they have done that?
He was given information that he was going to shave.
The question is, would you have done that if it would have been a star player?
Well,
Let's
I think Rozier will be gone.
What if it's Steph Curry or LeBron James? Would you have kicked him out the league?
That's an interesting question. Yeah.
Exactly. So, but if you when you knew this was going to happen, you knew you were going to have betting and this was going to start impacting games, because the fan base, you have loyal fans who love their team. They watch the game because they want to see their team do well. You have another group of people, a new influx of talent, a new influx of fan base that are only based off of betting.
Right.
They could care less about whether the team wins or loses. They want their parlays. You know, they're sending messages to NBA players and, you know, DMing them and threatening them because they didn't get a parlay. A guy was supposed to score. They took the over on 18 points, and the guy came up short.
Well, see, any player in the league could do that. They could call their best friend or anybody in their circle and say, hey, I'm supposed to score 13 today. I'm going to score less than that.
But here's the deal, though, Mark. Here's the deal. Let's say you make $26 million, which
Terry
Rozier makes, and you're betting to only win $50,000.
Crazy.
$75,000.
It's crazy.
Is it really worth throwing your career away in $26 million? It's like, you know, like I said, you're wagering your career, your livelihood, what feeds your family for $20,000, $30,000. It's not worth it.
But see, these conversations are happening everywhere now.
Well, again, Mark, if they would have came out from day one when they knew that they were going to allow this into the game, and this is going to impact the game the way it has in all sports, not just basketball, football, baseball.
Right.
What they should have done is, and all the commissioners should have gotten together and said, look, this is how it's going to be. The first time you get nabbed for any illegal gambling, betting on your team, or giving information to someone, it's a 1-year suspension without pay. You get nothing. If you get caught a second time, lifetime ban. Who wants to be the first person to get suspended for a year? Because once you get suspended for a year, now you're on the radar. They're going to be looking at you even like everything you do now because you've been that person. You think of what Pete Rose was doing. Pete Rose wasn't betting on his teams. He was just betting on baseball.
No, he was betting on his team to win.
Was he?
Yeah, on the Reds when he was managing.
Really?
Yeah.
I always thought he was just betting on other teams, but
he bet on everything though.
But that's what I'm saying.
Pete Rose
but
had a bad gambling.
You can see how the impact of this has been. Like now, people are questioning the officials. You know, how much do the officials have into this? You know, when games are being called,
it's a slippery slope.
You're opening up. You're opening up like Pandora's box now. Everybody is going to be questioned. Are the announcers giving out information because we know when guys are not playing? Right. We're there.
Right.
So are the announcers doing it? Are the coaches doing it? Is it the referees?
And we all have to sign statements for the league that we cannot be involved in gambling at all, right?
Yes.
Any kind of information.
Yes. And it's like, you know, there's so many people involved. There's people in the front office. There's people that work that maybe they might work in accounting that knows information that can do that too.
Yeah,
so it's so many. There's so many like rabbit holes that are out there that you can go into and basically find something you really don't want to find.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting story to watch in the coming days, weeks, months, and years. So we'll be following
Don't
that.
Gamble. Hey, $26 million to win $20,000 ain't worth it, baby. That's my philosophy.
That is exactly right. So hopefully next time we come at you, the Bulls have racked up a whole bunch more victories.
And we're still undefeated,
baby. There you go. Until then.
Drive home safely. Chicago BB.
Dosunmu. Does anybody know how to post videos to Facebook?
It's a block party, right? Did he get the invitation?
That's a huge three.
Mustard!
Lonzo left alone. Got it. Give me that sauce. Able to swerve, bend that corner. That's the last time.